The 360 Challenge Stradale, the 430 Scuderia, the 458 Speciale and the 488 Pista. What a lineage of cars. Arguably, perhaps, one of Ferrari's greatest bloodlines, and certainly one of the most memorable in the whole of performance motoring. And now there's this car, the latest instalment, the 296 Speciale. More power, more aero, less weight, and even more driver focus. But the question is it worthy of that name? Is it the special one? The first thing to talk about with this car is both how it looks and the aerodynamic enhancements. Now, those two, of course, are intrinsically linked. And look, I totally get it, right? It's up to you what you think of the styling. It's personal preference. For what it's worth, my opinion is I've always liked the 296 GTB. I thought it was a good-looking car. When I saw this in the metal, parked next to the GTB, it made the GTB look a bit soft-jawed, a bit slack, a bit soft, a bit sort of, Honestly, my view, I think it looks absolutely great. It's got that menace, it's got that strength that all the cars in this series have always had. But just like those, whether it was the 360 Challenge Stradale or whatever, they're still very obviously based on the standard car, and there are no massive wings or anything like that. But let's get into the aero. So yes, the front is different, and the first thing you'll notice is there's more space here, there's more air intake to get more cool air into the engine. There are also these vents up here. Now, these are taken or inspired by the 296 GT3 car, and the principal role of these is to extract air from these front wheel arches. But the thing you'll probably notice most of all is this. Now, Ferrari call it the air damper, which is a slightly odd term for it, but effectively this is an air outlet for air that passes in here, and then there's a slot underneath and the air is ejected out there. Now, this gives more front downforce, but the key thing with it, Ferrari say, is that it maintains a steady rate of downforce, giving you not only more front end grip, but also more predictability in the way the car handles and the way it turns into a corner as well. If we come around the side, you'll notice these stick out wider. They give the car more of a stance on the ground. The air intakes here aren't any larger, and that's on purpose because Ferrari didn't want to increase drag. So they've increased the overall downforce by 20% without any drag penalty. It's now 435 kilos of downforce measured at 155 miles an hour. The other thing that they've done is most of that extra downforce, 70% of it, is on the front axle. And again, that's all to improve the turn-in of the car. If we go around to the rear, well, the obvious thing is these sections here. Again, they give the car so much more muscle and stance on the road. These are inspired by those fitted to the 296 Challenge, and they help with the weight turbulence generated by the rear of the car. And then these winglets here generate more downforce, inspired by the FXXK program. Overall, down here, you've got a larger diffuser with bigger sections here, which helps create more downforce, and an optional titanium exhaust that saves weight.
Talking of weight-saving measures, Ferrari has managed to trim up to 60 kilograms from the dry weight of the 296 GTB, taking the dry figure down to 1,410 kilograms. Note, that's a dry figure, and a Speciale that's capable of moving under its own power will be considerably heavier, and that to achieve that lowest figure, buyers will need to specify all the lightweight options, such as the carbon fibre rear deck. That also means the engine is no longer visible to the outside world. Also in carbon fibre is the active rear wing, now with a third medium height to its range of movement. Now, this footage might look beautiful, a new Ferrari on an Italian mountain road in glorious sunshine. However, us Brits brought the weather with us, and the reality when we drove the Speciale on the road was rain, rain and more rain. Not ideal with nearly 900 horsepower and Michelin Cup 2s.
Okay, let's get straight into it. So, first things first, I know I might be grinning a bit like an idiot, but I've got to be honest, I'm so excited to be in this car today. These are such emotive cars, aren't they? Some of the most emotive that Ferrari has ever made. I can remember back to being on the first test of the 360 Challenge Stradale and with number plates that Ferrari had written by hand with biro. I mean, what an exciting car that was, and what amazing cars that have come in that lineage since. Now, being diligent this morning, I spent about 30 seconds in eDrive mode, and I can report that you can just swoosh along in silence. And yeah, if you want to do that, it'll do it for a few miles. I had the suspension in its softest in the bumpy road mode, and you know what? It was surprisingly comfortable. I moved the driver mode switch into hybrid, still using EV power most of the time, and you could commute in this car. If that's what you want to do, you could commute to work in it, no problem at all. One of Ferrari's key aims with this car was to retain that usability that you got in the 296 GTB, and I have to say, as surprising as it sounds, and not that I would ever particularly desire that in this car, but you know what? You absolutely could use this every day. You could drive to work in it, you could do whatever. But that's not what we're really interested in, is it? Shifting the driver mode up into performance mode, suddenly now you've got the internal combustion engine on all the time and you're ready to go. And then you've got your traditional Manettino here, an actual physical button that you can move. The next thing to talk about is sound, and I know that's such an emotive subject. I've always liked the sound that this V6 makes, but I have to tell you, this is a whole new step on. There's double the resonators in the cabin. It's loud, and I think it sounds really good. Now, I know that's deeply subjective, and everyone will have a different opinion. And no, it doesn't sound like the old flat-playing, naturally aspirated V8. Of course it doesn't. It's a totally different kind of noise. But to be honest, I much prefer it to Ferrari's twin-turbo V8 of the Pista, let's say. And in this, guys, it's just great. I don't know whether we could capture this on the camera for you, but it's all sort of hollow and woofly and makes lots of pops and bangs, and then the more you get on the power, the more the noise builds. They've really worked hard at making the noise reflect how you're using the car. And on top of that, you get the added thrill of all the turbo sneezes and whooshes. I think it's absolutely brilliant. I love it. It's got a character all of its own. So that V6 might sound good, and as for how it goes, well, let's just consider the fact that it's 868 brake horsepower and it's 60 kilos lighter in this spec, your ultimate lightweight spec if you like, with the carbon bits, than a GTB. Now, I thought the GTB was an absolute volcano on wheels. This is a whole new level. It is so fast. I mean, it is really, really hard to put into words just how rapid this thing is. And honestly, in these conditions and on a road like this, I am using such a small fraction of the available performance. Now, that's a separate debate in itself, I'm sure, given the numbers and the relevance of them, etc., etc. But what I can tell you is that the performance, when you can uncork it, and there's just been a couple of times where I actually was able to really give it some proper throttle, get some shift lights flashing, and it is absolutely feral. I mean, yeah, you can use it every day and it's really mild-mannered, but the work they've done on the boost management, you've got that torque hit from the E-motor, and then the way the turbos come in, the way the boost comes in, it's ferocious. It's got all the table manners of an alligator. It's absolutely wild, but that makes it such an exciting road car.
While the gains on paper for the 3-litre V6 appear relatively small, just 36 brake horsepower over the unit in the GTB and GTS, Ferrari has given it a thorough overhaul, in part because at 654 brake horsepower already, the standard unit is already pushing a lot of power, and Ferrari had committed to not increasing the size of the turbochargers. On the plus side, it also has a lot of experience to draw on from this engine's use in the WEC and GT3 cars, and also now from the F80 project. For example, Ferrari's latest hypercar donated its lighter titanium rods and stronger pistons. There are revised turbochargers and a new steel crankshaft, while even the machining of the engine block has been revised to save weight, and the stud bolts and other fasteners are now titanium. All in, the internal combustion engine is 9 kilograms lighter than before. It's connected to an 8-speed twin-clutch gearbox that now benefits from additional torque fill from the e-motor that quickens shift times and makes them more dramatic too. As for the hybrid side, the MG UK electric motor can deliver slightly more power in the qualified drive mode, up to 178 brake horsepower. So when added to the 690 brake horsepower from the V6, there's now a peak of 868 brake horsepower. Not to mention 557 pounds-foot of torque.
So what's the environment like? Well, you can see you've got these very brightly trimmed seats, and these are the more sporty options. They're still on a recliner, but they're carbon shells and actually give you lots of support. They've made my back ache a little bit over time, but they may be just me. And you've got some real kind of staples of these cars, the bare metal floor where you can see the welds, and these metal kick plates where you rest your feet. There's Alcantara up here. It's quite pared back, but at the same time you've got all the usuals. It's not a lightweight special at all. You've got climate control and the sound system and this whole new digital interface as well, which unlike the GTB, we've got the return of actual physical buttons, which for me, I have to say, is a huge improvement. I never like those haptic switches. Well, on this car, there's a lot going on. It's one of those things where I honestly think if you're a journalist dropped into the car and you've got a few hours, you think it's a little bit kind of mind-blowing, a bit taxing, there's just too much going on. I reckon if you learn to live with the car, if it's your own car, probably get used to it, and you learn where everything is and how to do it. It's certainly a very busy environment, but it does work a lot better than it used to.
Ferrari has increased the spring rate and revised the geometry settings, claiming a 13% reduction in body roll. The standard setup consists of passive multimatic dampers with titanium springs, evolved from those on the GT3 car, but a variable Magnaride setup is an option. All of this and the Speciale's carbon ceramic brakes and the ABS Evo controller interface with the 6D chassis brain as seen on the regular 296 and inform how the car reacts in the different drive modes and through the layers of electronic stability and traction control as accessed on the famous Manatino steering wheel control switch.
As a driving experience, well, where do you start? We've had some absolutely shocking weather today. We've managed to find a break in it, but these roads are really, really slick. And on Cup 2s, well, I'm just not getting the purchase on the road that can really allow you to exploit this car, and I can really feel it protesting under the ABS as well. But having said that, the first thing you notice is just how positive the steering is. Yes, it's light and it's very quick, like you would expect of any Ferrari. But what really strikes me about it is a little bit more weight to it and even more positivity. Now, that can't be an aero thing because on a mountain road like this, we're not going quick enough. But there's a real uniformity to the way that the car moves. It feels incredibly agile. And I noticed earlier when it was a bit drier, you could move the steering wheel left, right. And the way the nose tracked, front end is absolutely glued to the tarmac. And one of the things that the Ferrari engineers told us was not only have they increased the downforce, but they've moved that forwards to get more purchase on the front end. And I think that combined with those chassis changes really, really is giving that amazing positivity. Now, agility. Oh, it's so slippery. Oh my God. Now, Now, the agility of the car is something which, well, that was built into the 296 GTB recipe, and this car takes it to the next level. It really, really wants to change direction without being nervous. It's a fantastic combination. You can't help but feel really, really confidence-inspiring, even in conditions like this. Ultra-smooth tarmac is, it doesn't want to stop. It's a bit like driving on ice. It's just
it's crazy. Like I said, the conditions here today, I mean, it's really hard to use even a small part of the performance, but second gear, there we go, picks up. Just can't put any of the power down. Cannot hook it up. I'm short shifting into fourth. It still feels unbelievably strong. Oh, it's so slippery through here. Whoa! Whoa! Gotcha. Whoa. Even in fourth, it's just picking up the rears. Oh, it's so frustrating. I really want to introduce some proper throttle to this and experience what it can do and show you what it can do as well, but weather is just not playing ball today. Now we're back at Fiorano, the skies have cleared and the track has dried, much to our relief, and there's the chance to really feel the full force of the Speciale's performance. Earlier, the cars we drove on the road had MagnaRide and a Michelin Cup 2 tyre bespoke to the Speciale, while those lined up for track driving here have the passive dampers and a Michelin Cup 2R tyre. Right, so there's that same extreme front end. Really feels plastered. At last a chance to really get a feel for that acceleration, and it's absolute headbanger. Hard on the brakes for the final corner. Brake pedal feel is fantastic. I mean, you really sense the retardation under your foot. The gear shifts as well, the way they feel with that e-motor giving that punch between the shifts. It's so exciting, it's a proper whip crack. Right, okay, so my first impressions are obviously that extreme pace. I mean, the weather's not been with us today, and quite frankly, even if it had been on the public road, you're just never going to uncork that engine in that way. But when you can on a circuit and you've got all the shift lights glowing on top of the steering wheel, oh wow, wow, it is unbelievably rapid. It's so rapid that, yeah, it's quite the challenge to be talking at the same time. And the thing with it as well is that not only does it just pull through the mid-range as you might expect, but the top end of it is absolutely ferocious as well. Now, the car does feel hyper agile, and I did wonder whether that might make it feel a bit nervous on a circuit, especially with that extreme horsepower. But I wouldn't say it was sort of fidgety and nervous. I mean, it's very hyperactive in the way it behaves, and the turning is really quick. You hardly have to move your hands at all. You're almost just kind of moving your wrists. But that front end probably is the biggest thing for me. The biggest takeaway is just the way, look at that, even on the cooling down lap, I can turn the wheel and it just finds more and more grip. It's really astonishing how much grip there is at the front end. I mean, at the rear, well, yeah, you could overwhelm that really quickly with the throttle, but the front end grip is mighty. The brakes, well, you don't question those, and I love the pedal feel as well. Okay, out we go again. We've got tyre temperature now. Let's see if I can get the brain to work and talk at the same time as driving this incredible car. Right, lovely brake feel into the first corner. Let's get that rotation. It does as well, it's just well on there. Okay, now look, this is interesting. Braking and turning into this right here. I'm gonna go up a gear. Yeah, there's traction there. Building a bit of confidence now. Braking straight ahead. Right, late apex, turn it in. Even though maybe I overcooked that slightly, still didn't want to understeer. Over the bridge, tapping the brakes, a bit more afterwards. Then we go round there. Yes, braking hard for the hairpin. Again, just the braking is so good. The high speed stability, I mean, the numbers are quite big, so it takes a little while to really build that confidence, but I tell you, it's there. It does feel nicely keyed in. Son. That is, that's just rocket ship fast. And then those brakes are so good. They are so good. Right, let's turn it This is the bit that really impresses me though, the braking and turning in at medium speed, about 70, 75 miles an hour. It really is quite a physical workout. Well, it had to be done, didn't it? I mean, one last little sideways before we give it back. They said these tyres are finished. They did. They said these tyres are finished and they're going in the bin, so, I mean, you know, come on. Hopefully they're not going to send me the bill. And it has to be said as well that as a road car, you're never going to get anywhere close to using that level of performance on the road. That is fast. What to make then of the sensory assault that is the 296 Speciale? Flexible, comfortably riding, and almost undemanding one moment, and then ferociously, dementedly rapid the next. It's a car with an exceptionally broad bandwidth, a showcase for what Ferrari engineers can achieve when given the opportunity to push themselves to the maximum. By Ferrari's own admission, at a conceptual level, this is a car aimed at buyers wishing to retain much of the usability of the regular 296. But should such a car be that way? Whatever your feelings about it at a conceptual level, there is probably room for a harsher, more raw and tightly focused variant, perhaps one that, dare I say it, is actually less powerful to fill that racetrack refugee space. A 296 Challenge Stradale, you might name it. In the meantime though, there's no doubt the new Speciale is truly the special one.